I always knew I was going to be famous. I'm not going to lie. I like the attention. I like being on stage, lights and people clapping. So that was there. Like if there is a धंधे का season, that is June. If there is a महीना in the year जब भी आप मोटा पैसा छाप सकते हो and all the brands want to pretend to like you, do it. So I first came out to my parents, the gay wala part, was around 14 years old. And then I think around 15 or 16 years old is when the transgender bomb dropped on them.
What I like so much about you is you're equally open about being Dev as you're equally open about being Ella.
The work I had to do mentally was way more intense than any hormones or treatments or doctor visits. I always thought of myself as above my peers in the sense कि oh वो तो बच्चे हैं, but I'm the mature one.
On podcasts also we've got comments that are hateful, that people who have actually picked up call and said literally nasty thing to me and I've just gone blank.
Content is art and art is therapy. This is gonna get me in trouble, but nobody says that to male-dominated fields. If cricketers are to do something that is not a good example for young men, nobody says anything.
Fierce, glam, and unapologetic. This is what describes my guest for today's episode of Ketchup Talks. She's real, she's raw, and her journey and my conversation with her will keep you hooked till the end. This is Mrinal Mathur Rajwani and join me as I catch up with Ella D. Verma. Hi Ella, welcome to Social Catch Up.
Thank you so much for having me.
I know last time we spoke was more of a festive thing.
Yeah.
When we shot cover, but this is way more important for me to sit across and have a deeper conversation, know you better, because it was all celebrations last time, and I know this conversation that we are going to have today is not just celebratory. It's going to have all kind of emotions in it.
Yeah. I feel like last time it was so crazy. I flew in, then I'm switching between lehengas, then crying about something, eating, and then we never got to like really...
like sleep deprived. You literally slept on chair.
I've done this so many times. I literally sleep in interviews and they have to wake me up. It's a horrible problem.
I hope that doesn't happen here, but okay. I know you've been ruling internet. You've been like a talk of the town. You've made sure that everybody knows Ella in a very short time frame. You've made sure that you are heard. You've made your presence felt in a very smaller time frame. And before we delve into all this, I want to start and I want to begin with what inspired you to put out your transition journey so openly? Was there a point in your life, turning point, that you decided, no, now is the time that I should be there. I should be talking about everything.
Honestly, see, I think it was very personal for me because when I started transitioning, I had a lot of resources, but they were mainly educational cheezein thi. You would look up and you would understand, acha, this is the procedure you have to go through. This is the biology and the science of, transgender people. But what was missing was this personal documentation and mainly on the psychological side. So when I started transitioning and I was on hormones, I'm dressing how I want to, I've changed my name, now I'm living as a woman, there was still this wave of sadness. And then I realized that there is so much on a psychological level that is unique to transgender people. And that's when I was like, oh bhai, nobody told me about this. The kind of trauma that you have as anyone who's different. Hamari self-esteem kaisi dhajjiyan odi padti hain. So the work I had to do mentally was way more intense than any hormones or treatments or doctor visits. So I really felt I wish somebody had warned me about this. Oh, you'll feel so many feelings. So when I got onto making content about my life, it was with the hope that the psychosocial aspects of being transgender, that was always the focus point. I can put that perspective out for younger people to come. And for me, it was very therapeutic also. It was like journaling, but on a video. So I was getting all my feelings out. So it was like a mutually beneficial thing for me.
And when you first posted about it, how did people react to it? Did people took it in a sense that, because people are on internet are trying to be okay with it. I'm not sure that people are 100% okay with it, but I'm seeing that there's a slight change in all this.
See, for some reason, I thought I was the lucky chosen one because when I was much smaller, there was a very nice time frame where I personally knew all my followers. I used to do lives and it was a whole thing, okay, Ella's going to come live and she's going to answer everybody's questions. That was my reputation. I read very quickly and I answer the questions. And I, for the longest time, did not see hate at all. And I used to think to myself, oh my God, I don't know what these influencers and creators, I feel like they're making up all these problems. Hate doesn't exist only. But I feel like that was just a part of I had a very, limited audience, and I was going to a certain amount of people also. And then once you kind of make it, or you go mainstream for a while, or you go viral, then you reach people who are outside of the big cities, or people who have different opinions. And that's when the hate really came in. But to be honest, me personally, I couldn't care less. I always say this, like, मतलब मुंह पे इतनी बात, like my parents have said things intentionally or unintentionally, my friends have said things school में, or as LGBT people तुमने सामने से इतना सुन लिया है, like what's a comment gonna do to you? Like phone band kiya and it's gone. You know what I mean? Like you've heard worse things said to your face. So public opinion was never really matlab a big concern. But I have seen a major shift when it first happened versus now. Especially I feel like after my Josh talk, that was something I guess people just were able to empathize with me more. उससे पहले तक, since I hadn't gone into that much detail about the psychological struggles of it all, then I feel like people were able to relate, because it put into perspective कि ठीक है, she's transgender, but her struggles are like mine. This is someone who didn't fit in talking about not fitting in. This is someone who grew up with bullying, and that is not exclusive to LGBT people. So उसके बाद I saw a very big shift in the way I was perceived. I feel like people took me more seriously because people could relate.
How was your childhood? I know it wasn't that easy.
Mhm.
I mean, because bullying, if bullying is part of your childhood and being, I mean, now you can anytime choose not to talk about it.
Mhm.
But if that time, if you have to go back, what was your takeaway from that?
It's so interesting कि I recognize now that there was bullying and there were so many things that were wrong. But for the longest time, I didn't. I feel like it haunts me more than it hurts me, in a sense that when it was happening, because it started when I was so young and it continued all through my school life, it was my normal. You have no comparison point कि अच्छा ये तो होता है, you get up in the morning, you go to school, people laugh at you, you come back. So for me, for the longest time, ठीक है, थोड़ा बुरा लगता था, but I was like, अच्छा, this is life. This has been happening. This is what happens. And then, I got done with school. I was put into a different environment. And now with social media, when I'm going into educational institutions as the chief guest, and I'm seeing people my age only, treat me with respect and dignity, and I realize, oh, so that wasn't normal. So I feel like while it was happening, I was sort of, I don't know, oblivious to it. Obviously, I had bad days, but it's something that became more painful once I was out of it, because then I had a standpoint to compare ki acha, that was really messed up. Once you live a normal life, only then do you know. But as far as growing up it was concerned, see, like my family was very chill. At least in the initial years. When I was younger, when the expectation to become a man or act like a man wasn't there, it was very nice. I was always good with my teachers. And for some reason, I always, this sounds a little cocky, but I always thought of myself as above my peers, in the sense that, oh, wo to bacche hain, but I'm the mature one. I feel like that was instilled into me by my parents also, because I have a younger sibling, so you're supposed to grow up very fast. So the teachers were fond of me, my family didn't care, and the iddi-piddi kids, I was kind of like, oh, what do they know? So I feel like that was like a defense mechanism also. So it's, well, like I said, it haunts me more than it hurts me.
From your journey, and what I like so much about you is you're equally open about being Dev as you're equally open
Yeah.
about being Ella.
Mhm.
And like through your videos only, I figured, okay, that's the transition name. That Ella is there and the D is Dev. And
Yeah.
you're equally embracing that part of your life as well.
Mhm.
I mean, I know, because that's not that. I mean, it might not be that easy for you to keep remembering that time
Yeah.
as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I really appreciate that you've not left that. Okay, no, those years were also your years,
Yeah.
your part, your life, part of
Yeah.
your life, basically.
And like, let's be honest, I have so many certificates and awards, and I was like, no, if I change my name, these all go to waste. So I was like, I have to keep these. So that was also a part of keeping the name. But yeah, it's a part of who I am. I'm okay with it.
That's wonderful. That honestly, in that transition of you becoming Ella, were there someone who was there, your friends, family, who was there as a support system for you?
I think everyone at some point. So with me, initially a lot of support wasn't there, but eventually everyone did come around. And even matlab, jo bhi hostility or disapproval that came from my loved ones, I knew the baseline was love. It was never कि हमें तुमसे कोई प्रॉब्लम है या तुम ये मत करो. It was always अगर तुम ये करोगे तो फिर बाहर वाले तुम्हारा जीना मुश्किल कर देंगे. अगर तुम ये करोगे तो ऐसा तो नहीं है कि कोई, because it's a genuine concern कि if you go out looking different, you can become a target for people. Is this safe for you? So I feel like all the rough patches that we did have also were coming from a baseline of love and concern for me. And then wahi tha, over time we figured out our differences and we learned to work in the same direction. But I feel like family was there. Friends mere gin ke 2-3 the, and mostly they were girls only, and girls
Girls
that,
support.
yeah, they just get it. So that was there. My sister, she's 3.5 years younger than me, but I feel like sometimes she says things and I'm just like, ये मेरी छोटी बहन है. Like she's also very mature. My cousins were also involved in it. Oh, my cousin brothers. So most people have brothers who are very mean because boys, young men can be mean. But my cousin brothers, when they found out, they actually sat me down and they were like, किस किसने तंग किया है तुझे? नाम दे हमें. And I was like, oh, I'm already getting like the प्यारी बहना treatment. They were very protective. So in that sense, maybe not shuru mein, but I do think I've been very lucky. Like I had a lot of support.
How was first interaction with your parents, Surrogate? Because when you decided that you'll be Ella, that transition is as much as a physical and medical and emotional. It's too much. It's not just only for you, it's for your family also. It's for people
and
who are
that is something that I regret not realizing sooner, because I feel like I could have been kinder to my parents. I could have given them more time. But I guess obviously I was struggling more, but I have to understand that they're also having their life turned upside down, over the course of a dinner table conversation. So when I initially told them, I didn't even say the word, to be honest. All I said was ki, oh, mujhe ladkiyan nahi pasand. And then my mom actually said ki, oh, are you saying you're gay? And then I was like, haan, let's run with
abhi
it.
ke liye ye kar lete hain.
Yeah, so I was like, that. And then she was like, she played very chill. She was like, oh, it's fine. And then she said, Mumbai mein to bahut hota hai. It's fine, I know. And then she was playing chill. But then we had doctor visits. They were trying to fix it initially. And then eventually it was like, ki, theek hai. He's gay and that is what it is. And then it became something that was never brought up. It was an agreement ki like, theek hai. Now we've seen enough doctors and the doctors have said ki it is what it is, but we would never talk about it. I would never talk about talking to guys or any conversation about me being gay was dead. After that, when I, started going through puberty and my body got more masculine, I was a wreck, because it's like my own body was against me. So everything that I took pride in, co-curricular specifically, was falling. Like I couldn't do it. I remember I got on the stage and I forgot. Excuse me. And that was like a standard I had set for myself. I was a stage kid. I was the one who does the debates, the anchoring, the everything. Like, Dave does that. And so I realized, oh no, like my discomfort with my body is costing me my life. So that is when I had to tell them, actually, I'm not just gay. And transition is the only option for me because it's costing me my life. Shuru mein there was denial and it was hard for them also. And then again, there was a round of doctor visits. But eventually, through many, many rounds of counseling, we did come around and we understood that it is for the best. So that's how it really played out.
But you were at 19 when you went through the transition.
I
read somewhere, I'm not very sure.
No. So all this conversation, so I first came out to my parents, the gay wala part, was around 14 years old.
Okay.
And then I think around 15 or 16 years old is when the transgender bomb dropped on them. Now we know ki, acha, this is what you are, this is what you're feeling. And the treatment is ki you have a transition. Okay? You change your gender. But legally, in India, you can't do anything medical until 18. So that was like an Agni Pariksha. It was like a horrible phase because it's like, I know what I'm feeling. There's a treatment right there, but I can't take it because
4 years of...
Yeah. And so I waited until 18. 18th birthday ke 2 din baad we were at the endocrinologist. We were starting hormones. And I started at 18. But I think I started at 17 I started because it was lockdown. So that gave me a reason to grow my hair and be like, oh, I can't get a haircut. So lockdown mein it was when the social thing happened. It was also comfortable because you don't have to go out and meet people. So lockdown mein is when it socially started. And then when I turned 18 is when the hormones started.
So it was too young. And I'm impressed and that you were too clear that, okay, this is this is the journey for you very early in your life.
Yeah. See, when people ask me, like, I never have an answer to when did you know or when
Mm.
did you realize.
That's a
I
stupid
feel
thing.
like
it's one not date to it.
yeah, the only thing I realized ki, oh, I'm not a woman. Like, it's such a weird thing now that I think about it. I had such a strong belief all through growing up ki, oh, I'm going to grow up to be a woman. And when I didn't, when I started getting facial hair and when I started, getting a deeper voice, that was the shock of it all. That was the realization ki, oh no, what you thought was wrong. So as far as knowing the woman in me, there was never a moment.
I know. I mean, this cannot be like अच्छा आज इस डेट से मैंने realize किया ऐसा थोड़ी
Yeah.
हो सकता है.
Yeah.
Okay, if you have to sit across your younger self,
Yeah.
forget the gender, forget everything else. In general, if you have to sit across your younger self and talk to that person,
Mm-hmm.
what will I do? What will you do? Well, like, because I've spoke to someone and like that only thing to heal yourself right now is to heal your younger self.
Yeah.
Because if your younger self is not
Mm-hmm.
healed,
Mm-hmm.
you will never get healed.
Yeah.
So if you have to do that, one thing if you have to say to your younger self, what
Yeah.
will that be?
I wish I had an answer that was filled with vocabulary and like something nice. But honestly, I genuinely, if I could tell, my younger self something, I would tell myself to just relax and have fun. I feel like I was doing the most because I felt so little because of who I was. Ki, Acha, I'm such a joke. I'm so feminine. I'm not good enough in a social sense. So I feel like a lot of my younger years, I spent overcompensating. The whole being on stage, it was like, Acha, I can't be the perfect man, but I can get all the awards. I can't have a lot of friends, but I can be the teacher's favorite. So I feel like a lot, I was doing the most. I was just pressuring myself to be perfect all the time. And it was like, okay, I liked it also, but on some level, it was to overcompensate for feeling small in my identity. And even when, the gender wali conversation did come about, and I knew that's what was going to happen, I feel like I thought about it too deeply. I feel like, because it is so central to who you are, you're hyper fixated on your gender. ठीक है, मेरा document, मेरी treatment, मेरी surgery, मेरा coming out, this. But there is a whole life outside of your gender and sexuality. And that you realize after you transition, which is also why when I transitioned, I was actually doing worse mentally. Because this gender wali problem pe main aise hyper fixated hoke chal rahi thi that I didn't pay attention to all the other stuff that was happening, the trauma of like bullying, my low self-esteem, the things I have with my family. Us sab se I was sort of blinded because I was fixated on the gender. And so when that was gone, all those other problems came to the front and I was lost. And I wish I didn't, make my gender so central. That's what I would tell my younger self. Relax, and gender is a very small part of you. Like it like right now this is relevant to the conversation, but if we were meeting for coffee,
I mean,
this is the last thing we will
we'll discuss.
Yeah, so I think that's I feel like other younger, LGBT people also, like, "Thika, your sexuality and your gender are important to you, but I'm telling you this, it's a very minuscule part of life."
Exactly, like we discussed earlier in the conversation. The last time we discussed festive.
Yeah.
There was nothing like that.
Yeah.
Anything else for
Yeah.
that. Okay, I know this is something which we all ask us, but what does Pride mean to you? We just celebrated Pride Month. And we like, I know by the time the conversation will be out, we'll be way past the month.
Yeah.
But what does that actually mean to you? The word pride mean to you?
See, of course, it is largely a celebration, which I think it should be by all means. But as far as a demographic like mine is concerned, people who are, in a position where it's safe and they have platforms to tell their story, I think Pride, the month at least, is a very big responsibility also. Not to just be seen, but also to take up space. Because you have to understand that so much LGBT representation and so much LGBT documentation from history books, our stories, our achievements, great people who were queer have been erased. And so there is someone in the world right now realizing they're queer and thinking they're the only person in the world. I felt like that as well. I was like, am I the only person like this in the world who feels this way? And so it becomes a responsibility to take up space and to be extra loud and, tell your story, especially around this time, because we are the people whose stories will not go erased. That is our luxury. I don't think we are the most talented or the most gifted queer generation that has ever been there, but I think we are the luckiest. And so I think the responsibility comes with that.
And there is one thing that you keep saying is you are a model and a creator, which and a trans.
Yeah, I happen to be transgender.
Who happen to
I
be
hate
a trans
model.
Yeah. Why do you think that narrative is important? Why do you think that it is important that you put that out in life than being a transgender model?
Because, because of the way the world is laid out, it is an achievement to be transgender because I had to fight for it. But ideally, I was born transgender. Like मैंने क्या उखाड़ लिया? Like अगर आप औरत हो तो आपने genuinely क्या उखाड़ लिया? अगर आप आदमी हो तो आपने क्या उखाड़ लिया? If you're transgender, आपने क्या उखाड़ लिया? That is just your orientation. So your designation is something जो आपने कमाई है. You've worked hard to be recognized in a certain space, in a certain way, on a certain pedestal. So I don't understand why you would ever want to put your orientation before your designation. ठीक है, I understand that is who I am, but this is who I've built. So I would want more focus to be on that. I would want to be a model who happens to be transgender, a creator who happens to be transgender. What is a trans model? That is not even an occupation. कौन सा बच्चा बचपन में उसको पूछोगे what do you want to be grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? And they're like, मैं बड़े होके trans model बनूंगी. What does that mean? Like, do you know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense for me to have your orientation before your designation.
Okay, and you were discussing while we were discussing pride. You also mentioned that you're the luckiest one, and it comes with a responsibility right now.
Right.
Do you feel that it is exhaustive also because now you bear a responsibility on your shoulder that you have to pave a way for the generations that are coming? You have to set an example for the generations that are coming.
I think it is. And I think it is good that when people recognize it themselves. If I recognize that and I do something about it, great. But I think if I didn't, it would also be okay. Especially careers which are women led or spaces where feminine people are taking the lead. That could be fashion, that could be social media. I feel like that is where excessive morality ka thappa is put on. And this is gonna get me in trouble, but nobody says that to male dominated fields. If cricketers are to do something that is not a good example for young men, nobody says anything to them. It's always women actors who have to, be Sati Savitri. It's always LGBT creators. So I feel like there's this unnecessary morality and responsibility that is poured on, this demographic. But theek hai, it is good if somebody takes up responsibility and feels like they are in that position. But I don't think it should be slapped into somebody's face. Like it is genuinely, just because I happen to have a phone where I post videos and a lot of people are watching me, doesn't mean I have to raise your kids for you. That's your job. I will do the best I can, but you have to instill the confidence in your kids. So many people say ki, oh, there are so many beauty standards out there. Our children will be insecure. No. Children who come from homes where self-esteem is not instilled in them will feel the need to compare themselves to others. If you genuinely, prepare and love your child in a way where they don't feel the need to look at anyone else for validation or compare themselves to anyone, why would it happen? ठीक है, I understand कि as an industry or as people, in the public eye, we can do better. But I don't think it should be a prerequisite to being in the public eye कि चलो अब हमारे बच्चों को पालो. Like I really don't understand.
Okay. Coming to the content piece that you create, you try to be as genuine as possible. You started with telling your story, and you now share content with your partner as well, which will dig deep on that as well. But which is that most emotionally challenged piece that you've ever posted, and why?
I really think it is always where I'm having a heart to heart. Mostly when I do my YouTube videos, those are the videos where I'm not doing a get ready with me. I'm not, trying fancy products. It's just my feelings, and like I've cried on the internet. It's a tale as old as time. But I feel like really the whole growing up transgender wali series that I did, and the recent series I did, when I was having a rough patch in my life, when I was having a heart to heart with the camera, the journaling bit, I feel like that is me at my most vulnerable. But I think that is also me at my most creative and most powerful, because even when I am going through a rough patch in life and I'm making a video about it, I'm never just complaining. I'm realistically telling people what has happened, what I'm feeling, and what is my plan for the future. And I feel like it just centers me. I feel like content becomes therapy for me when I'm, in that space. But as far as, emotionally challenging or the most vulnerable content, it would have to be my heart to heart YouTube videos.
Okay. And do you feel that being a public figure can be scary for you? Or you were always a
Um,
stage person, so
I
just
always knew I was going to be famous. I'm not going to lie. I like the attention. I like being on stage, lights and people clapping. So that was there. But I think there are so many things, like I said, the added responsibility is there. Everything I do, people will, pick it apart and look at it through so many higher standards than you would for the girl next door. And everything I do, people will have opinions. The like I said, I have to raise people's kids for them. It's so crazy. And then there's also a safety concern of it all, because I am at the end of the day a minority that people can be hostile towards, and being visible in that sense puts me in a lot of danger, because I don't know who knows me with what intention. When I'm walking down the street, 10 people know me. One of them could be a very hateful, transphobic person. What if something happens? So those kind of things are there. I've gotten messages also anytime, something goes mega viral, it comes with hate. So I've gotten messages along the lines of, I know where you live. You were going here. Aaj tum yahan thi na, maine dekha tha. So in that sense, I guess it does get scary, because there is a very major dehumanization that comes with fame. I feel like people forget that at the end of the day, like, theek hai, they're in a Givenchy gown and they're in a studio, but it's a human being under all those things. It's a human being. I've seen the tragedies that people, famous people go through. The next day, it's a meme. Somebody passes away, the way they were
they're
gone,
covered
it becomes a
on.
meme. Now imagine that happening to you. Imagine the regular person, you've just lost somebody in your life, and the next day you see people are making memes about it. But there is a very major dehumanization of famous people or people, that are in the public eye. And that is scary, because I feel like it's it's making its way out of the phones. People, जो हमें लगता था कि अच्छा हाँ ये तो सिर्फ कमेंट्स में करते हैं, रियल लाइफ में ऐसे कुछ नहीं होता होगा. नाउ आई हैव सीन नैरेटिव्स चेंज. Even my younger sister, the way younger guys talk, the way they're desensitized to all of these things, it's really different. I feel like the whole हवा ही बदल गई है. It's
No,
very
I
hateful.
get, even so with these podcasts and everything, even my profile, so there are people who are all kinds of opinion who has all kinds of opinion. And on podcasts also we have got comments that are hateful. There are people who have actually picked up call and said literally nasty thing on to me, and I've just gone blank. Like
Yeah.
literally I have no idea what to do.
Your
about it.
stomach drops and you're just
Yeah,
like,
and in real life you're like सामने आओ दिखा दूंगी kind of
Hmm.
like, but when this suddenly happens, you really
Yeah.
have nothing to do. You really don't know what to do,
Yeah.
and that does happen, and it makes you feel like, okay, why are we doing all this? Is it
Yeah.
okay to be on social media? But then it is
Yeah.
in general, it's a bread and butter. It's where we went out. It's where we
Mhm.
be most creative also.
Yeah.
So it's our part.
And
It's part
I think it's a note to, the whole hurt people thing. But that is such a concern ki why is a major chunk of the population just hurting? Because theek hai, there are these people, they are miserable, but on some level they are hurting for some reason. Only then are they able to inflict that kind of pain on you or on me in our comment sections. But that is something that's even scarier. Ki what is the root cause? सब इतने दुखी क्यों है? कहाँ से आ रहा है ये?
फिर उसका मेरे को हर्ट करके क्या सुख मिलेगा?
I don't understand.
Anyways, so your content do you feel like I was also asking about you is like they are making way there, but do you think that okay, ever it occurred to you that have I made the right choice being online?
No, but have I made the right choice in the choices I make when I'm online? So sometimes I feel like, did I overshare? Was this
Mhm.
bad for me? So that is a line that I constantly, I still struggle with. Ki like, oh, should I post about what's happening in my life? But like I said, for me, content is art and art is therapy. And the artist, has to get it out. So and I'm very much someone who draws from life. If I have something in my life, like a relationship, I would want to talk about it. If I've had, something in the family, and I would talk about how it's affected me. Obviously not putting out details, but I have to document what I am feeling. That is just the nature of the kind of artist I am. And so there are points where, I try to stay back and be like, okay, let's stick to fashion and beauty. Let's stick to just making stuff for other people to consume and not about an outlet for you. But it became very suffocating. But that is a line that I sometimes struggle with. Ki like, oh, is this the right time to share this? Is the right way to share this?
But you started with sharing your life.
Yeah.
So that is where you started with, and that is
Mhm.
where what was the purpose of you being online?
Yeah.
Fashion and beauty and lifestyle came secondary.
Right, exactly.
So you can't stop sharing about yourself. I know oversharing might happen, but it might look like an oversharing, but when you're in that moment, it looks like it's the need of what you need to say.
Right.
So it's always going to be that dicey thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that I'm never gonna come to like a point of, okay, I'm done. I figured this out.
No, that does not happen. Forget about your oversharing about your personal life, which is very personal and which is very in that sense that has so many layers to it. But in general, as a creator, you will have to evolve with formats. You'll have to evolve with your
Yeah.
content. You'll have to share more things that you are comfortable or you're not comfortable, and that your audience is comfortable or not comfortable. You'll have to try and
Yeah.
experiment with it.
Yeah.
So as a creator, also you will never be able to figure out. There are people who are in this business from 10 years. They are also evolving, and the only rule of content creation is that you have to evolve.
Ever changing, ever evolving.
Ever evolving.
Yeah.
There are people, and honestly, anybody I talk to, what's one thing that you have to do in content to stay relevant is evolve.
Yeah.
So that I think you can put yourself at rest about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Coming to your milestones, do you think that okay, you have realized that okay, I've achieved something. This is what my milestone was. I was chasing, and it's something that I've achieved.
I've had so many, honestly. I think obviously the numbers are always there. You when you start out, you look at 10K and you're like 10K and 100K, 200K. So like those numbers are always there. Certain views are always there. And then for me, the brand collaborations, because there's sentimental value. When I started out, there were certain products. Jo gine chune, I had a very small makeup kit. And there are products that I use to this day. So I had this one lip liner by K Beauty. And that's a brand that I've always believed in. And I remember when I got to work with them for the first time, I was like, oh, this is like, like, wow, life has come full circle moment. So I think those kinds of things, being able to work with brands or people that you've always looked up to or genuinely believed in, being in the same spaces as your heroes, like that is something that feels really fulfilling. And at the end of the day, like the response you get, the kind of messages I get, and the way, like, even coming here, I was standing outside my hotel and this girl came with her umbrella and then she was like, "Are you Ella? Oh my God, my Mossy is also transgender. We talk about you all the time. You've helped us so much." I feel like that in itself is such a, fulfilling part. So if I had to, there's no one genre of milestones. I feel like you keep reaching different kinds of milestones.
As a creator, Ella, how do you decide that which brands to work with? Because there's some brands who are actually believing in what you do, and then there's some brands who want to do for tokenism. And I know even if it's tokenism but it is making an impact, it might be a good cause to participate with them. But how do you differentiate, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I don't want to do?
Honestly, this is an opinion that I had a lot of shame in admitting for the longest time. But the truth of the matter is, do what you have to do. Okay, like I think to be able to pick and choose work and to be able to do things that or exclusively do things that you believe in, I think that in itself is a luxury that comes with time. When I started doing stuff, I did not have money. So it would cost me more to stick to my values than it would to take it. Maybe this brand is something that I don't believe in, but I also need to pay rent. So I have, had those situations where I've said yes to things because I was like, I have kuch to karna padega. And now I've come to a position, financially and in the way that I'm placed in the industry is I get to cherry pick the things I do. I get to choose, okay, these are the spaces I want to be seen and these are the spaces I don't want to see. But that is something that that has come with time. If I would have done that, I would not be able to, afford my treatment. I would not be able to fund my career. I think people don't understand that before the money comes in, content creation, as lucrative as it is, it's also very heavy on the pocket. Shuru mein, like your equipment costs you so much, your clothes cost you so much, your makeup costs you so much. Like how do you do that stuff when you don't have the money? So shuru mein, I genuinely wasn't very responsible, to be honest. I did what I had to do, but now I think I have spaces and I choose what I want to do. But again, I don't feel like I would want to give anyone advice on that. I think whatever you need to do to get you by, do that. I don't think there's a right or wrong when it comes to it. And at the end of the day, as far as tokenism is concerned, as long as somebody from the community is benefiting from it, why not? Like if there is a धंधे का season that is June, if there is a mahina in the year जब भी आप मोटा पैसा छाप सकते हो and all the brands want to pretend to like you, do it. Ask double, triple, quote एकदम high.
Remaining year.
हाँ.
Save for the remaining year.
हाँ, why not? ठीक है. Like it sucks that they want you more in the month, but when they do, don't let it go. Be smart.
And I have a thing that you do that and then do it with such a nice way, so great, so beautifully that they are bound to come back to you for the remaining months as well.
Exactly. See, that is your. I feel like June can become Pride Month can become such an opportunity also.
Like an empty door.
At least now they're looking at you. Make sure you want them to look back. Give them something to come back for. So that's there.
Okay, I keep asking this to a lot of creators that content creation fulfills a lot of dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Did it for you, or there are some dreams that you're still dreaming and you're waiting for them to be fulfilled?
I honestly, I have this belief that everything I want, I will get, because everything I have wanted, I have gotten. You have to think of it this way: कि I was a boy who was the loser of his school, and I dreamt of being a beautiful, famous woman, and I made that happen. So once you've done that leap, uske baad everything sort of is just like हाँ हो ही जाएगा. You know what I mean? कि like अच्छा once I figured this out, उसके बाद क्या है जो नहीं हो पाएगा. And with the dreams, it's like literally when I started content, I remember I was putting on black nail polish. My sister was putting on black nail polish and I had short hair. I had just started and my mom was in the room. She was still having a hard time. And she was like, kya hoga? Kaise hoga? And I was like, Mama, shuru mein I will post, then I will get free stuff. Then they will start paying me. Then they will fly me out to different cities. And then I'm going to be on billboards. And then now I've been on 2 billboards. My first international trip that I had was completely sponsored by a brand, paid for. So it's like, it's the dream life, and like touchwood, I'm really happy. And why I feel like anything is achievable. I've built myself. I am the biggest manifestation that I had. So everything else is I feel like it's gonna happen only.
Okay. And how has your digital identity changed your offline reality in general?
I think as far as new people that have, become a part of my journey through my content, I think there nothing was supposed to be changed. They know me as Ella, they know me through my work, and that is just, a part of becoming famous, that okay, people relate to you, people come up to you, that is what it is. But the people that I knew before, the way I've seen their behaviors and their perception change entirely, not just about me, but about my parents. My mom was the epicenter of so much scrutiny, because when this thing happened, and obviously I had nothing to back it up. It was like, acha, this someone who has just finished school, no academic plans for the future, no career, and now also wants to change gender. So they used to look at my mom and say, ki, oh, something must be wrong with her upbringing. They thought that me being transgender was her fault, ki parents ki, उसमें कुछ कमी रह गई होगी. And now those same people are like कि ओ हमारे बच्चे एला को देखते हैं, वो तो इतनी अच्छी अच्छी बातें करती है. नहीं, मैं तो बोलती हूँ एला दीदी की वीडियो देखो, ये देखो. I had a relative tell me, you're never going to look pretty, you're never going to look like a woman. And then she came around and she was like, I have a clothing brand and I was just wondering. So I feel like that is where you notice the change also. And even, not just relatives, but my parents also. My parents, they're in the clouds. Like the way they conduct themselves, I feel like they almost went from a point of being scared. I wouldn't say ashamed. They were never ashamed. They were always scared to now being so proud. I remember shuru mein there were moments where they were like, don't come to the wedding because ye wale tauji hain, he can be very mean, he can say something to you, ya wo wale ye hain wo bhi dekhenge ya koi kuch bol de. And now it's like कि नहीं नहीं इनकी शादी में नहीं जाना, बड़ी शादी में जाना, छोटी शादियों में नहीं जाना. And then it's like it's a whole thing. Like it's completely changed people's perceptions. And shuru mein I used to be, I naturally am a very bitter person. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a very grudge holding person. And like tum 5th class mein one time you stole my eraser, we are enemies to this day types. So shuru mein I did have a
God
hard
bless
time.
those.
Yeah. Shuru mein I was like, I didn't want to forgive people and I didn't want to understand ki like acha theek hai, people can change, because I felt like, but what did I change? My personality is the same. I talk the same. The only thing that is same is I'm famous and I look different. उसके अलावा क्या बदला? So why is your perception different now? But ठीक है, like I feel like वो मुझे ही, it was kind of eating me up and taking more of my energy. So I'm able to coexist with people who switched after the fame.
Okay. And before we wrap up, there's two conversations that is pending. One, we kept coming to your boyfriend, also your dating life in general, and we missed very smartly. You just missed.
Yeah.
So I love seeing your content together, as he's also equally matching you in your energy.
Yeah.
in
Yeah. He
sense.
looks like me also. A lot of people say we look related. A lot of people thought we were siblings. It was a whole thing.
No, so I saw one of your reel, and then that's when I realized. But how was dating life overall? How's dating life going now? As I want, this is going to be the most gossipy part of the interview.
See, I'll be honest with you. I am really happy right now. I feel like I found someone who is so different from me, but also so similar in terms of our values. We are very different in terms of personalities and how we act, but like our core beliefs are the same. And, he's just like me. He, the way I give it back in my comments, the whole savage Ella ke replies wala thing, he's like that in real life. And I love this man. So his parents were also, so because I've had a series of being really invested in people, and then उनको 2 साल बाद होश आता है कि actually मेरी मम्मी को तो it's not normal, but even in the very initial stages of, seeing Vansh, I was like, ki, I want your parents to know. Don't tell them that you're going to marry me. Don't tell them I'm your girlfriend or whatever, but tell them that you are seeing someone and they are transgender. And I don't want this to, I can't go through that pain again. And he brought it up to his parents. And obviously, just like any parents, they're also having a hard time. His mom is, struggling a bit. And I'm trying to give her time. He's giving her time. And it's such a funny instance. His mom was, not able to understand. So she came to him one day. She's like, but beta, isko to periods bhi nahi aate honge, to kaise hoga? And then once, because it didn't make sense to him, he was like, Mummy, अगर मैं किसी और लड़की को गर्लफ्रेंड बना लूं और उसका खून से भरा पैड आपके सामने रख दूं, लेकिन मैं उसके साथ खुश नहीं हूं, तो क्या कर लोगे आप उसके पीरियड का? Like, how does it matter? Like, at the end of the day, this is someone I love.
That was more of a, not just period, but the deeper conversation she was just initiating it.
Yeah, but I think he just he knows how to have conversations like me, and I'm very happy. But he is based in Lucknow, so it's a long distance thing, which I think is a good thing. It sounds very mean, but I'm the kind of person who just throws myself into the relationship. So I feel like if we were in proximity of each other, everything I would have been like, come with me, be my +1 to everything. So I feel like the distance kind of helps us, have our lives also. And then once or twice a month, we have our little vacations.
Okay. And the last thing is, how do you want Ella to be remembered? Not by just followers of the brands, but in general, how do you want Ella to be remembered?
I think this is such a sweet and special question. And this is something that, I've come to realize now when I was starting my transition and when the medical bit was being discussed. Obviously, one side effect of having hormones and the surgery is unless you freeze your sperm, there is no biological kids. Even if I have the surgery, I will never have a uterus and an ovary, and I can't conceive or get pregnant. So my dad was really concerned, and he said कि हमारा तो वंश खत्म हो जाएगा, like there's no, nothing, there's no legacy. And I did believe that for the longest time. I felt very incomplete. I was like, if I have no one to leave behind after I am gone in this world, then what do I have? But then over, the trajectory and the body of my work and the people that I've met, I've come to the realization that like my love is my legacy. The people that I've touched, the minds that I've changed, or even if I've sparked a conversation, as long as that is there, I do not want to be remembered. I just want there to be, a little spark saying ki, like somebody smiles more because they heard something Ella said. As long as I've made a shift, that is my legacy, and I'm happy with that. And I feel so whole now because I do genuinely, when you are a creator, you have this imposter syndrome, but now I've gotten better with it. I do generally feel like I have made a positive impact, at least in the minds of people in this country, and I have, on a very large extent, changed the way people perceive people like us. And I think that is commendable, and I don't like to downplay it anymore. I feel like as creators we tend to be like, oh no, it's nothing, but that is something that I've started to take pride in. Ki, theek hai, like, okay, maybe like I won't have a bloodline, or maybe I won't have like statues or something physical to leave behind, but like, theek hai, like my
Because
legacy is the
adoption
giggle
is
somebody
always a
had. Like,
thing.
huh?
Adoption is always an option. If you
Yeah.
want, there is an option
Yeah.
where you can.
I just want to work hard enough to the point where LRD Verma becomes an adjective. कि अरे बड़ी LRD Verma बन रही है खुद को. I just want to be an adjective. That's what I want.
That's sweet. Thank you, Ella. Thank you so much. I'm sure it wasn't easy to relive a lot of things. But thank you, you did for us.
Thank you so
And
much for
I
having me.
really lost track of time while talking to you. I think all I did was just speak to you, ask you so many questions about you, like because my intent was always to know you more,
Right.
more than the feed that I follow. But it was so wholesome for me.
Thank you so much. And this was so fun. And I love like conversation. You know why? Because there were moments where you were like, acha, theek hai, ho gaya, LGBT, let's talk about you now. And that is something that I really appreciate. I feel like a lot of people have LGBT people on their platforms and then they're like, chalo, ab ro ke dikhao. And it's true. And I love it.
No,
Like, there's so much more.
I know. I want to know the person they are in
Mhm.
general, and that's what my agenda is with this. I want to know a creator beyond just a creator.
Yeah.
That's why I ask questions that are from the childhood, that is from the learnings, that are from the beliefs you believe into, because what you create content is part of it.
Right.
So that's why I kept saying, "Ho gaya, wo conversation ho gaya." I want to come back to know you better.
Yeah. So, this is perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for watching me on Social Catch Up. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.